Hello everyone and welcome to part 3 of my journey at the King's Premium Poker Room here in Sydney, Australia. After 4 starting flights, we are now on to day 2 where we will play from 130 players left down to the winner. This episode navigates my journey through day 2 but is only going to get harder as the stakes are higher and the opponents get tougher. Poker. What a beautiful game. It's a battleground. It's a bloodbath. It's a survival of the fittest, with the smartest and often the luckiest to be crowned champion. We make tournament-breaking decisions based on minimal information but maximum courage. Today I am in the final 130 players out of 389 entrants. Top 39 are all in the money, and we're fighting for a first prize of $64,000. Will it be me, the last one standing, victorious?
Well, I'm pretty tired this morning. It's been a big day yesterday, but I got to get some sun this morning before day 2. You can probably see how tired I am, and this happens when you play poker. So you need things like football, which is what I'm doing right now, to get myself G'd up for today and just balance my life with, obviously, you know, poker's very stressful, so it's good to get some exercise, get a bit of social stuff in, and get a game in. And I'm a bit late, but they've already started without me. So I'm feeling pretty good today. Day 2, I've had a nice run this morning, playing some soccer. I've done some meditation and had a nice cold shower to wake me up. And I'm just going through some of the hands from yesterday. It's always good to review a few things, I suppose, for the next day, just to get your mind active again. But you know, yesterday was a really cruisy day. I mean, there was a few tough hands, I suppose, and a few bluffs that probably didn't go that well. Obviously I ran well, and let's hope that happens today. So I've done my meditation, I've opened myself up to the universe to bring me all the positive energy and just the clarity in my mind to make the right decisions. So yeah, it's good. I've sat here I've been here for about 15 minutes just doing some writing as well, just to get some thoughts out, to get some emotions out. It's quite emotional when you play poker, so you know, things can happen that trigger you on the table, or sometimes you see people in the room that might trigger you for some reason. And yeah, it's been a while since I've played. I haven't played in about 5 or 6 weeks, so it's nice to really be in touch with myself, and it really alleviates the stress and anxiety around the game. So I highly encourage you guys to do that as well. But yeah, today I've got the table draw. I've already looked at who's on my table, what my position is, what sorts of results my opponents have had. So it's good to know that going into the game. It's also good to open your mind up though, because sometimes you get these guys who don't have tournament results and they might have cash game results, they can crush you and you don't even expect it. So I'm going to open myself up to a bit of strategically winging it, as I call, when we get there on day 2. So fingers crossed we have a really good day and can run to the end of the tournament. I'm all packed up, ready to go, just leaving the house now. Got all my gear, done all the prep, ready to go. Alright, I'm just arriving up here at St. George Leagues Club and I'm feeling pretty good. Got to set up all my stuff. Biggest thing actually that's bothering me at the moment is my shirt's a bit unironed and I cannot stand that. But here we are, St. George Leagues Club. Let's get it.
And how do I have a chance to see it later?
Yeah, so yeah, no, it's gonna be cool. Just over my thoughts and everything.
And then they come down.
Hey man, how are you? Guys, how are you?
Morning.
Hello. Hey, how are you?
Where are you sitting?
No. Table
3C1.
Table 3, seat 1, awesome. Hello, sir.
Richard?
How are you?
Good.
Good.
You know where you're sitting?
Mark?
Yeah, no, he's done good.
Table 3.
Good.
Sweet.
How are you, Liz? You good?
How are you, sir?
Good, how are you?
Well, as I got myself settled in, it's been about an orbit or so of hands, but I have not played any. And look who's here. None other than my sister, Alison Lee Rubie. She's come along to help film and get some better quality shots, so you guys don't have to put up with my handy cams anymore. And we're straight into the action here with a raise to 5,600 from under the gun, and I'm in the big blind. Everyone's folded to me, and I've got King 9 offsuit. The guy under the gun has about 80,000, so he's gonna have a pretty strong range. But I've got a pretty defendable hand here, and a nice price to see the flop, so I'm gonna make the call. The flop comes down 9 deuce ace with 2 spades. Not a great flop for me, even though I've connected with second pair and the best kicker, because I feel like my under the gun player is going to be heavily weighted towards a lot of ace high hands and pocket pairs. I check to him, and sure enough he bets out for 6,500, which is pretty standard at this point. He's still going to bet out if he's got hands like 10 jack, queen jack, king queen suited and whatnot. So I think I need to still make the call here, but I'm not feeling confident about my hand at this point. If he was in later position, I'd feel much more confident about the strength of my hand. But the fact that he's under the gun and we're pretty early in the day makes me feel like I'm probably well behind. The turn card's an ace, and that's sort of a good but problematic card. It's good because it's less likely he has an ace, but it's problematic because I don't really know that I'm going to get much value out of this guy now, even if I do have the best hand. The turn went check check, and we're now on the river, which is a 7 of diamonds. I'm feeling like I might have the best hand here, but it's about what sort of hands am I going to get called by if I decide to lead out. Because really, I have to make the decision. Am I value betting here, or am I bluffing? I decide to bet out 9,000, which is a really small bet in relation to the pot. So it's a bit of a blocker bet here to try and get a little bit of value from maybe pocket eights, maybe if he's got 9-10 suited or something, or maybe even king high. But this also prevents him from going for a bigger value bet with a hand like pocket 10s, jacks, queens, kings, etc. My opponent eventually makes a pretty quick call, and I know I'm not good when he makes that call so quickly. And I show my king 9, and he shows me pocket 10s, and I say to him, that's exactly what I was afraid of. A small one, but not a crucial one. Our stack's down at 210k, but we're just getting warmed up. Only 2 hands later, I've got a monster. I've got pocket jacks, and I'm on the button. The 4th best starting hand, and the best position on the table. There's been a raise to 5,200 from middle position, and I'm wondering how I'm going to get maximum value from this hand. Often I feel like players don't believe me when I make raises pre-flop, so when I pick up a monster like this, you can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to raise it, because they're going to often see this as a bluff, or at least in my experience. Especially when often they're right. I'm going to have a light range of hands because it's simply just really hard to have strong hands pre-flop. So I put in the raise to 15,000 and it folds back to my original raiser. who takes a little bit of time before throwing in a 4-bet to 40,000. Oh boy, this is a tough spot now. I didn't really expect that. I kind of expected my opponent to flat call my 3-bet, or potentially even fold. But to put in a 4-bet like that is incredibly strong. Now this is a really tough spot for a lot of reasons. My image plays a huge role in how I'm going to proceed in this hand. Most other players, when faced with a 4-bet, will actually just be up against stronger hands, simply because their opponents will play honestly versus them. But me, I find that people play very differently against me than they do others, simply because of my image. Theoretically, I think I'm supposed to just move all in here, because my opponent can actually just fold a lot of hands like pocket 10s, pocket 9s, ace king, ace queen. Maybe he calls ace king and I win a flip. So I decide I'm going to go for it. I'm going to move all in. It's part of my DNA. It's very hard to fold this hand. So I go with my read and my gut, and unfortunately my opponent snap calls and shows me the bad news. Guys, he's got pocket aces, and I'm an 80-20 underdog. Unfortunately, the board does not favor me at all, and I'm going to have to hand over 125,000 chips, which is about 60% of my stack, to my opponent. What a crushing start to the day. I'm going to need to reset and refocus. My stack's down to 100,000, and it's time to get to work.
On the break here in the King's main event, day 2. Not a great start. We started with 240k and I've fallen down to about 140. Obviously we lost the jacks to aces, and yeah, look, it was a challenging one. I think theoretically it was the right play, but exploitatively I probably could have got away with it. So that hand's been hanging on my mind a bit. But I'm just sitting here resetting. We're doing a bit of like editing and stuff with the camera crew here. Or, you know, what do you call it? Makeshift camera crew. But yeah, you know, I'm just trying to reset my thoughts. I've got the clock here, so I'm just keeping an eye on it. We've got 6 minutes left to go. Update the people who might have bought little shares in me and things like that, so it's always good to keep them happy. But yeah, just time to reset and just take a moment to appreciate the little things.
Well, today's been less than ideal, to say the least, but I'm not ready to give up. Not yet. My stack's down to 72,000, which is only 14.5 big blinds, but I've woken up with ace queen offsuit in middle position. It's time to move all in with this hand. Because it's offsuit, I don't really want to raise off this stack and allow anyone else to call and see the flop. I think ace queen suited, I'm happy to raise, but ace queen offsuit, let's go all in and try and take down the pot. Everyone folds around to the big blind, my nemesis with the aces, and he wakes up with ace king offsuit and makes the call. I'm going to need some help here, dealer. We need a queen. The flop comes down jack 10 8, king on the turn, 7 on the river, and oh my gosh, we have the nuts. We're going to double up here. We're going to suck out with our ace queen, but that's okay. It's part of the game. It's time to reset and get ready to turn those chips into even more. Well, it's only been 2 hands since I doubled up, and I've got pocket queens under the gun. Here we go. When you're hot, you're hot. I raise it up to 11,000, and everyone folds around to the button. Without hesitation, he moves all in for 120,000. And I look down again at pocket queens. Just to double check, I've got those ladies behind there, and I'm going to make the call and see what he's got. He's got ace king offsuit, and we're off to the races. It's not ideal, but these hands happen in poker, and we're going to need to win this flip. The flop comes down 6 deuce 6. The turns are 5, and the river is a jack, and oh my gosh, I'm going to win another all in. I'm going to take my stack up to 270,000. What a sick run. Here we go. This is why we never give up. After the heater with a few all-in hands, I've managed to climb even higher to 350,000, and now I found myself in a tricky spot. I'm going to 3-bet here with a king-jack offsuit from the cutoff to a hijack raise. The blinds are 3k, 6k, he raised to 13k, and I've made it 37. It folds around to him, and he makes a pretty quick call. So this tells me that he's not overly strong. He's not going to be slow playing aces, kings, queens. He's probably not going to have 10s or jacks or something like that, because I think he would give those hands some consideration. Even a hand like ace queen, ace jack suited, I think he'll think about those ones. The flop comes down deuce, 5, 4. Obviously not ideal for me, but I'm going to continue anyway and represent all those overpairs and put tons of pressure on a bunch of hands like maybe ace high hands, 10 jack suiteds, pocket 6s through to maybe 8s. But this is a sort of board where I don't think he's going to smash this board that often, unless he's got a baby pair and he got lucky and flopped a set. I see bet for 37k, and he doesn't really take that much time again before making the call. I'm not feeling very good about this one. I've got king high, and the pot's already 163k. The turn, however, brings the king of spades, and that makes things kind of interesting. I've gone from a king-jack offsuit bluff to now top pair with a pretty strong kicker, and now I'm beating a decent chunk of his range. So all of a sudden I've gone from a bluff spot to value. Now, how can I extract max value? I decide I'm going to continue for 68,000, which is only about 40% of the pot at this point. But the board's pretty safe. There's not that many straight draws and flush draws, unless he's obviously got a hand like ace 5, ace 4, but I'm a pretty big favorite against those types of hands anyway. So I'm happy to bet about 40% to ensure that I get paid off from a big part of his range. He could also just have hands like pocket 7s, pocket 8s, pocket 9s, which I have him drawing to 2 outs only. He makes the call again, somewhat quickly for my 68,000. I feel like he really doesn't want to let go of his single pair hand. The river card comes the jack of diamonds, and wow, I've gone runner, top 2 pair on a pretty safe board with no flushes and next to no straights. I'm going to go for all of it on the river. I can already feel it. When he checks to me on the river, I take some time to make it look like I'm considering a bluff with a hand like ace queen, ace 10 suited, maybe some like 8-9 suiteds and stuff in my range that he thinks I'm pretty wide with, which, fair point, I have had some of those hands in my range at times on this table. Given that he was quite stubborn with his call pre-flop, on the flop, and I feel like the turn as well, kind of have an instinct like he's going to call it all off here on the river and try and hero call me with a single pair in his hand. After I move all in and he takes some time, he looks like he's in the pain box. And boy, I feel for him. It is a tough spot. There's a lot of hands in my range that are bluffs here, as well as a lot of hands that are value. And to be honest, that's where you want to be. You want to have what's called a balanced range. After taking some time and deliberation, he lets go of his hand, and I let a little smirk. And I start engaging with him to see what he had. He said to me on the table, "You have ace queen, don't you, Rubie?" Well, after one of the worst starts to the day, I've managed to turn it around with a decent chunk of luck and skill. Now I find myself with pocket jacks, and the rush keeps on going. I've raised from early position, and 2 to my left, a stack of 216,000 decides he's ready to go all in and give himself a chance to chip up. Fair point to him. In any normal case, I'm probably just going to be raising with junk here and fold to his all in. But pocket jacks, pretty decent hand. So I'm going to get my laptop, I'm going to put it down, and get ready to make this call so I can film the action. I put in the call and see that he has ace king, and yet again I am off to the races to see if I can win another flip. The flop comes down 7, queen, 10. The turn's a king, but the river is an ace, and I make the straight for the nuts yet again, and we take down another huge pot. And man, what a sick run. In the last 2 hours, I've gone from 70k to now 875k. I scan around the table and find that my peers are all making jokes about the fact that I've just gone on the sickest heater from 70k all the way to 875k, and it just so happens that I'm vlogging my experience. Oh man, I've got some sort of a vlog good luck charm here. I'm starting to get addicted to this. My stack's up to 875k, and it's time for a table change. I'm gonna rack up my monstrous stack, and I'm gonna take it to the next battleground and see what I can do with it. There's only about 15 players left, and we're gonna make the money. Stay tuned with me, guys, for the next episode where we're gonna find out if I can make the money and just how far I can take these delicious chips. Thank you so much for tuning in and following on the journey so far if you've made it through part 1, 2, and now 3. I hope you're enjoying the process and the challenges that I've had in this tournament and the excitement. Until next time, guys, good luck out there.